Welcome to This Week on the Plains. I'm Jim Little. This week, Faking It Won't Make It, a look into fake IDs in Auburn, and this week's opinion piece, Leave Lady Luck Out of Auburn Football. But first, here's some stories you can read about in this week's Auburn Plainsman. The SGA passed a new unisex restroom bill. Campus reporter Ben Ruffin reports that the SGA Senate passed the bill on Monday, November 10th. The bill proposed by India Napier, senator for the College of Veterinary Medicine, will make it a university protocol to implement unisex restrooms in newly constructed buildings across campus. In community news, the City of Auburn will hold a public hearing on a possible apartment construction moratorium at the Auburn Chamber of Commerce on Monday, November 17th at 7 p.m. According to Mayor Bill Ham, the proposal for a halt to apartment construction comes after a study done by the city showed that the city can only sustain 300 new beds per year, but since 2011, Auburn has added 2,200 new beds and approved another 2,000 to be built. Read about those stories and more in this week's Auburn Plainsman. Joining me now is Kate Seckinger, who wrote this week's article, Faking It Won't Making It, where she looked into fake IDs in Auburn. So tell me a little bit about the article you wrote.
Sure. Well, I had heard that there was an increased presence of police officers downtown. So some people had thought it was just because of Halloween, and actually it was because of a new funding that the police department had gotten in the city of Auburn. I think they partnered up with the some medical center in Alabama, and so they were providing the grant funding, and so they're using that money to put a higher number of officers downtown, predominantly I think on the higher party nights from I guess Wednesday through Saturday, and they're really cracking down on the use of fake IDs. That's their idea. Is they're going to they can stop anyone who's they have to have a cause for it. They have to be acting out or something. But if they look really heavily intoxicated, they're making a scene, and they look under the age of 21, they can, ask for ID just to see how old you are. And if it doesn't feel authentic, or whether in thickness or you don't look like the person, or you are looking like you're presenting an age you're not, they scan it, and then you can get in trouble for just possessing the document.
Okay.
So.
And you also went down to the Z&Z Tobacco shop?
That's right. Yeah, I didn't go there, but I talked to the employee there who, he wishes he wanted me to remain anonymous because of, what the business does in the college town, which
right.
he thought might make him lose popularity as a business. But he said that they don't tolerate the use of fakes, and that's something that they scan everyone's ID. So if you just show it to them, try to pull the old, put your thumb over the picture, and maybe they won't look at you. He scans everyone's, even if he knows that you look like you're 80, he'll scan it to check. So, yeah.
It's pretty serious.
It is.
You can read about that story this week in the Auburn Plainsman. Joining me now is the sports editor for the Auburn Plainsman, Eric Wallace, and he's here to talk about this week's editorial, which is Leave Lady Luck Out of Auburn Football. Tell us about the editorial.
Yeah, obviously there was a lot of heartbreak after the loss to Texas A&M last week. Very unexpected, considering Auburn was a 20-point favorite going into the game. But a lot of the narratives that came out after the game seemed to be kind of the easy, Auburn's luck ran out, implying that Auburn had been a lucky team over the past two seasons. And while we at the Plainsman can admit that there was some luck that played into the success they've experienced recently, at the same time we felt that it was important to realize how far the team had come in the last 2 years. In 2012, my sophomore year here, we were 3-9, and it was some of the most painful football to watch at times. One of the worst football teams I've ever seen. And within 2 years, we're getting super upset about one loss. It just sends everything, crazy. And we're still a top 10 team. And we just felt like it was important to address that just because a team loses, and because they have, been on the right side of some good breaks over their streak, that doesn't mean that a team's success was wholly based on luck. Because that doesn't give enough credit to Gus Malzahn and the offense that he's implemented here. The rushing attack that is consistently one of the most dominant in the nation, a rushing attack that led the nation last year and sent a running back to the Heisman Trophy ceremony in New York, and a rushing attack that currently has the top rusher in the SEC. So in our editorial, we addressed some of the comments that came out of the national media, like guys Dan Wolken from the USA Today and John Solomon from the Birmingham News, that we felt really took a bit of a lazy narrative towards Auburn's loss. And it was kind of the easy one that's we felt like sold a little bit better and didn't quite address what actually had happened against Texas A&M.
All right, well, you can read that editorial this week in the Auburn Plainsman. That's it for this week on the Plains. If you're watching this on YouTube, click right on the newspaper to subscribe to all the Auburn Plainsman videos, past and present. Until next week, I'm Jim Little.